And that informant, you say, was assisting with investigations into kidnapping and into illegal cigarettes.
Yes.
In South Africa, we have a serious problem of kidnapping. From the kidnapping of Desai, who managed to come back home, the kidnapping of Mazwi Kubheka, who also was brought back home, and the kidnapping of Jerry Boshoga, who's still missing to this day. And the biggest problem about these kidnappings is that the people that have done this deed are normally not the people that get to be arrested. And the worst part is that foreign nationals are always involved in these situations of kidnapping. In this video, I wanted us to look at the testimony of SERG NKOSI, who actually exposed one of these kidnappings that are actually being conducted by a so-called police informant.
Personally, I know Mazwi, and we are just here to say enough is enough, and it comes indirect. I think this has started in a different way, and I'd like to believe that it was the biggest mistake for whatever that has started right now, because it won't end well.
So on the 2nd of April, Mazwi Kubheka was abducted or kidnapped on his way to the bank, and then he was taken away from his family. At first, it didn't look like the matter was gaining momentum until Lipuleli Tweety Jones as well as the ENCA started broadcasting this matter, pushing it further. The family even felt like there was no one that is heeding to their call, and they felt like no one is actually listening to them. Up until this actual thing started gaining momentum and more people started talking about it, that is when we started seeing action.
The one who implements are the EFF and the ANC. These are the people who say foreigners must come here, destroy our kids and kill us. Bring back Mazwi.
Fortunately for us South Africans, we had a protest last week, almost the whole week, regarding the issue of illegal immigration in South Africa. It became so intense because it happened the entire week. Jacinta, who's the leader of March and March, as well as some politicians including Umthakati and Ngizwe, who call themselves as activists, they were fighting so hard on the streets, calling for the issue of illegal immigration to be dealt with by the government, asking for people that are in South Africa illegally to leave the country.
I don't expect anyone who's criticizing us to be sitting at home and not doing anything. If they're going to be criticizing South Africans, then they must do something about the South Africans that are dying from spaza shop killings, where the mafia now wants to take over Ethiopians and Pakistanis. If they're criticizing us, then they must be willing to do something about the South African children that are dying because of the food that is consumed at these spaza shops. If they're criticizing us, they need to be doing something about the people dying in hospitals because there's no beds and there's no medication, because people from all across the African continent are coming here and walking in and demanding services. They must also do something about the South African children who don't have a spot in schools, and they must also do something about the many factories and places that are hiring illegal immigrants for cheap labor instead of hiring South Africans, and all of this money and the economy that's going to the hands of foreigners instead of South Africans.
They even got to the point that it would be better if actually these spaza shops that are being operated by these illegal immigrants should be closed.
Isitolo somuntu okufika la eSouth Africa, mina ngihamba ngiya kwaNongoma manje ngo10 kusasa kwaNongoma, ngo10 kusasa kwaNongoma bakhona abaqophayo ngo10 kusasa kwaNongoma. Izitolo zabantu bokufika zobe ivalile kuze kutholakale lo mfana. Umuntu nomuntu edolobheni lakhe, umuntu nomuntu edolobheni lakhe, umuntu nomuntu edolobheni lakhe.
And then it just so happened that on the 1st of March, they then went and protested in Vosloorus in support or in solidarity with Mazwi Kubheka. The main purpose was to ensure that they look for him and that they send a strong message to the people that might have kidnapped him. And it actually did, because the kidnappers, from what we are hearing, they were asking themselves as to how big is Mazwi. They then thought it would be best for him to be sent back to his home. But that's the thing, South African. The way it was reported by the media houses on how he came back home was rather very questionable, especially the way the Gauteng Provincial Commissioner addressed the media. He said that he just rocked up in the police station. Let me play that part of the clip when the National Police Commissioner was addressing the public immediately after it was reported that Mr. Mazwi has returned to the police station.
You're telling me he's been found. He's currently at the police station. Can you explain to me what did he make himself available? Like, how did he get to the police station? Was he dropped off? How was he found?
He made himself available. Currently, they are still interviewing him, and of course, we'll follow the due processes in ensuring that some of the processes is to make sure that when you get the alleged victim who is missing or kidnapped, you have to make sure that there has to be some process in terms of the medical process.
Is it at Vosloorus police station?
Yes, of course. Isn't that everyone was there yesterday, and then all political parties
I find it like this is very strange. So you're telling me that Mazwi Mpumelelo Kubheka has made himself. He just presented himself at the police station.
Yes, at the police station. Yes, of course.
So he wasn't dropped off, or you don't know the details around that?
Based on the information which we have, and then he just, I'll say, rock up, or he present himself there at the police station. Yeah, this is the reality, and this is what actually happened. But we're trying to ascertain as to say really what actually happened.
This obviously has been met with a lot of criticisms. Others say that he actually conducted his own kidnapping, and that high chances this man always, knew where he was going. Even though others said that no ways, this man indeed he was kidnapped because of how the family described the situation. They said he was not just hurt physically or tortured physically, even mentally. It looked like there was something wrong going on with him. His mentals looked like he was even on some drugs or anything of something of that kind.
I don't know what they were talking about. The only thing that I had to intervene, it was just to tell him to come to the hospital, because we don't know the extent of the torture that he suffered, because he was tortured, and also we don't know what they did to him, probably give him drugs or anything, because he's not himself.
This march obviously was supported by a lot of people, not just Gizwe as well as Umthakathi, who were the activists, but also some political parties came into the fore, like the Action SA, who have been calling for the safe return of Mazwi as well, and they have been pushing that Mazwi should be brought back home.
As we are here today, we are to support the family to show them that they are not alone. But as the president of Gauteng Anti-Crime Unit, we are trying tirelessly to find leads as to what happened to him. But Ogwamaj is very close to try to assist so that we can get our brother. Because it's very sad that a young man like Umaz, who's trying to survive in this type of economy, has been victimized and disappeared, and no one what happens to him. He was in the space, Samatak shop, where it's highly contested by Abantu Base, Pakistan, and all these places. So now, SYNDICATE has infiltrated even the Samatak shop.
Who is Banyaza Lusuf was also at this particular protest, as well as Ukhagaza, who is the mayor, who was also the mayor of Ekurhuleni, who was also in this particular protest. They were also calling that actually Mazwi should be returned safe, including the call for these pasta shops to be dealt with, especially those that are operated by illegal foreigners.
It's only when it was brought to our attention a week or so ago that we felt we need to unleash state capacity, because it's not Mazwi alone. He adds on a list of people that are missing. So it might be a trend, it may be a syndicate, it may be a pattern. So we need to crack the backbone of that syndicate. And what we have said is that this case is bigger than the police station here. The police station might not have the necessary capacity, the skill, the talent, the resources to break this case. So that is why we have pulled it, and we are bringing the intelligence community. The minister and the president is here. We have been beefing up the team that is dealing with this particular matter so that we can crack it. So I'm quite confident that we'll crack it. When I leave here, I'm going to the family, because I also don't want to speak to the family through you. I must personally go there, give them an update so that they know where we stand as law enforcement. We can't be defeated by lawlessness. We can't be defeated by criminals. We can't be defeated by syndicates. And there's no one that can do as they wish in our own country. This is our country. It's a constitutional country. There are laws. And if people are breaking those laws, we must hunt them. And I'm glad that we've unleashed those resources to hunt them and to crack this case.
Yesterday, there was a press brief by the Premier as well as the family and the Provincial Commissioner. However, it has made a lot of people to ask a lot of questions more than to get answers. In as much as Mazwi's back, but the real fight is starting now, because we heard from the Premier that actually 4 foreign nationals are involved and 1 South African. 2 are Ethiopian nationals and 2 are Malawian nationals.
3 grey areas that we want to be upfront with you because it's very important that we do that. One, whether if people that committed this criminal activity are South Africans or foreigners. We can confirm it's a combination of the two. The South Africans were South African, and there are also foreigners, 2 of them of Ethiopian origin, and that is very important. 2, whether it's related to the sponsor shop or is just a criminal activity. That remains a gray area, and the areas that the police are working on is to follow the leads on those 2 aspects. And it's known that he was kidnapped on his way to the bank, and he also had some devices in his possession. But we don't want to take one aspect and leave another aspect out. So those 2 possibilities police are working on. Thirdly, whether the syndicate operate in a certain fashion. There are 3 or 2 important confirmations that we can make. One is that they're using hijacked buildings. And number 2, where the victim was kept, there were 2 Malawians that were guarding the victim. And thirdly, that they identified, or the person that was responsible for the kidnapping or the hijacking, the name is known to the victim, and that particular name or the nickname, the police are working on it.
And people are asking if you guys know who are these people, and Mazwi knows these people from what we've heard. Why is it that you guys have not given effect to the arrest, which is where the actual matter starts? Because how is it that someone can be kidnapped in South Africa by people that are in the country illegally, and you guys are failing to apprehend them, and you even know who they are and their nationality? It's very important to note that the fact that they're illegal in South Africa is one of the biggest problems, because meaning that they're not properly documented. Even if they can conduct illegal activities, they will not be found. But that's the thing, South Africans. Sergeant NKOSI at the Nhlanhla Commission spoke about some kind of kidnapping that is almost similar to that one of Mazwi, because their biggest goal is to target people that are owning shops. Let me remind you, before we can go to FANNIE NKOSI, about a man called Desai. Desai was kidnapped and they wanted a ransom, and he is a known businessman in KZN. And the number 1 suspect in that case was a Mozambican national who is Nengi. He's came a lot at the Nhlanhla Commission. Number 1, as someone who has wanted to open a case against Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi of torture, and also was a man who was said to have been friends of Nhlanhla and helped hide Mr. Jerry Boshoga when the police came into Nhlanhla's house and raided it. This man was kidnapped. He was released, but to this day, the people that are suspects or that might have done this atrocious act have not yet been arrested. Then now, before we can get to the case of Mazwi, let us talk about NKOSI, Sergeant NKOSI. So Sergeant NKOSI came with explosives at the Nhlanhla Commission and spoke about an informant that helped them crack kidnapping cases.
He introduced me to this 1-1, and then upon introduction, it was vis-a-vis, and there he further informed me that this one has got information of the kidnappers. That was according to General Shibiri. And he also got the information about the illicit cigarettes that are being sourced from Zimbabwe to South Africa. He said he's handing that informant to me, and then that informant will show me or point me the addresses of the said people who are involved, some who are kept, and the said cigarettes. Immediately, myself and the informers, we went out from General Shibiri's office because automatically that was all about that, the introduction. Then the first operation was in Limpopo when I went to verify or spot the address where there were Pakistanis who were kept there against their will, and the illegal cigarettes from Zimbabwe. Immediately when I arrived there, as I was observing, I took the photo to General Shibiri. I sent the pin location as well to General Shibiri, so that to prove that indeed I did follow up the set address.
As you guys have seen, this man, it seems like his identity has been concealed. But the evidence leader, Matthew Cheskasen, has revealed that this man is actually a Pakistani national. Apparently, he has been helping the SAPS in uncovering the cases of kidnapping in South Africa. Mind you, a foreign national who's an informer talking about kidnappings of other foreign nationals, or just kidnappings that are happening in South Africa. Because the case was not just the one of the foreign nationals that were kidnapped in Limpopo, who are said to be Pakistani nationals, but this very man is also an informer helping the police with the kidnappings of Chinese nationals.
On the very same week, the same informant contacted me about these alleged kidnappers, or who kidnapped one Chinese guy.
This informant with the name that we saw on the piece of paper was an informant who was, as it were, given to you by General Shibiri.
I confirm.
And the informant came from Pakistan. Sorry, is that a yes?
Yes.
This man's identity has been very much concealed. We did not know who he was. Up until Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi appeared at the ad hoc committee, and through the Action SA Member of Parliament, who's Honorable James, we then got to find out who is this man, and his name was Rashid Ismail. An informer is also known as a private investigator, helping the SAPS with kidnappings. But that's the thing, this man happens to know every kidnapping everywhere. But during the case of Desai, it was uncovered that this man actually is working with Nengi, because there's actually payments between him and the so-called Mozambican kidnapper who is Nengi, who is the one that might have allegedly kidnapped Desai.
And Mzwazi, Msibi, and others. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Brought in Rashid Ismail for kidnapping as a so-called expert. Am I correct?
That's a name, correct?
That's a name?
Yep.
Honorable Matthys asked you earlier on, who was the investigating officer? I put it to you, that investigating officer that SIBIYA was introducing to the families of the victims that were being kidnapped is this man, Rashid Ismail.
We've got on record his transfer money payment with Zangi.
Who is Sergeant NKOSI?
Is a detective that works at the head office.
Am I correct that he acted as an errand boy, intermediary for General SIBIYA and members of the cartel?
Is one of the runners, as we had depicted on our sketch that we projected earlier.
For the South Africans, you might think, how does this man enter into all of this? Because we spoke about only the Ethiopians as well as the Malawians. Where is the Pakistanis enter into this? If we remember the initial stages of this story of Mazwi, they said that there were Pakistani nationals that were operating in that very tuck shop. And when they were kicked out or evicted by the landlord for Mazwi to occupy, they started having a grudge with him. They wanted him to sell his truck. But it just so happened that he didn't sell the truck. Then subsequent to all those threats from this man who's a South African and also from him taking a shop from those Pakistani nationals, it just so happened that he gets kidnapped. The question remains, if indeed the police have gotten the right identities, why have they not given effect to the arrest? I want to argue, fellow South Africans, that Pakistani nationals somewhere, somehow, might allegedly be involved. And I think that in the process of trying to arrest these people, they must get this giant man who happens to know everything about all the kidnappings that are happening in South Africa. I don't know if you want to call him an informant or a PI, but according to Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, he's a very corrupt individual that the SAPS have relied on him, that even NKOSI himself has relied on him more than once. On all kidnapping cases, it looks like this guy is at the forefront of cracking these cases. Mind you, he's a Pakistani national. Mind you, he's a foreign national. There's nothing wrong with foreign nationals assisting the SAPS. But what I'm saying is that there's a foreign national assisting the SAPS in kidnappings that are involving foreign nationals. What I'm trying to show, the picture that I'm trying to paint to you as a viewer is that foreign nationals are taking over our country and are capitalizing on the issue of kidnapping, asking ransoms and specifically targeting people that are owning businesses, either to collapse them or to get ransom. Because if you collapse them, then they can take over those businesses because they have demarcated the area of tuck shops. They feel like it belongs to them. They feel like it is for them, which is a big problem. To this day, the family and the community are saying that Mazwi is not safe. The police promised that they're going to provide him with protection, but they failed to honor that promise. Now, since Mazwi is gone, people are relaxing, which is a norm. In South Africa, kidnapping cases are normally dealt like this. When a person goes back home or is found, people forget about it.
Exactly who are you? Why is this thing happening? Why is there such a big match? Then they were fighting him. Then it led to him yesterday being, I'd say, released because they drove him somewhere. So yes, it was because of the match, because he said they kept asking, who exactly are you?
But the question still remains, who are the people that might have kidnapped Mr. Mazwi Kubheka? And that question still open-ended. There's no answers that we are receiving. Instead, we are getting nothing but just silence in terms of effecting arrests of these people.
Of course, and again, the lady is not in a good state, according to the family, and we believe that we're going to chat to them later on and hear how things are panning out for them, because they're also still looking for more answers to this particular point, irrespective of him being alive, returning back alive. They're still looking for answers as to what exactly happened, who kidnapped him, as you know, that the South African Police Service are saying that no one has been apprehended at this particular time, and investigations and a case has been opened and investigations are ongoing.
As Banyaza Lusufi assured us that the police are doing the work, they are going to give effect to the arrests, but we want to see the police actually doing something regarding the kidnapping cases that are happening in South Africa, because it looks like it's one field that is not yet properly controlled. People are doing whatever that they want to do. But if the police can actually take steps and make us see these kidnappers being arrested, that is where people will start having faith and gain their trust in the criminal justice system of South Africa. I don't know what you guys think about this particular case. Let me hear your thoughts. Tell me what you think. But more than anything, ponder on this thought about these foreign nationals being the kidnappers and being the informers of the police. The very informers close to the kidnappers receiving monies from these particular kidnappers. I don't know. Let me hear what you think about these revelations. Let me hear what you think about the kidnapping of Mr. Mazwi Kubheka. Nonetheless, I'll see you guys on my next upload. Bye.